Hey everybody, this is my first attempt ever at solo RPGs. So I discovered solo RPGs on YouTube through a channel called Chowcalypse, or like Chow Apocalypse. I'll link it all appropriately below. And I found that individual to be really insightful with how they explained what solo RPGs were, and provided us some cool resources, and that was my gateway really into the hobby as a whole. To add some context to this, I've been a dungeon master for tabletop RPGs for about like 10-15 years, and so role-playing and the activity of rolling dice using your imagination, exploring an imaginative world is something that I am a huge fan of, and it's a core part of my kind of hobby cycle, right? The stuff that I do often. And so sometimes either my groups can't meet up, or sometimes I have the itch between sessions when I run games, and so I keep thinking, well, I just want to do a little something creative, I want to do something imaginative, and sometimes, you know, I get that itch and I can't seem to scratch it. Except this might be that thing. And so this video is going to be my initial sort of steps into the world of solo RPGs. I've done a little bit of reading, I've done a little bit of researching, and I feel confident enough to wade unmajestically into the waters of solo RPGs. Now, to just explain what I've got in front of me, the first thing here on the left on this clipboard are some printed off bits of paper. Now, these bits of paper were introduced to me via the channel I mentioned earlier, Chowcalypse. These will be linked below. These are reference sheets, is the best way to put it. It's got a load of reference charts, a load of points of inspiration. It has if you look closely, there's like a hex map as well. We're going to draw our journey on. And there's 4 of these sheets. So the first one here, as I said, is a hex map. Has got some information on like some charts on like terrain. Next sheet, again, it's got kind of monsters, it's got items kind of listed in the middle here. I won't go into these too deep. This one is to do with like dungeons and rooms, and then this one is like more dungeon based as well. Chow went through these sheets in incredible detail and actually played a game properly with them and used them as an example. I will obviously link that below. But this is what we're going to be using, or rather I'm going to be using, all together, we're going to be using this in order to sort of execute our adventure. In addition to this, we have a notepad, bog standard, a bullet point notepad with dots instead of line or squares, because I can draw squares if necessary, and I can obviously sort of write across it without it being too out of place. So fresh notebook. Everyone loves a fresh notebook, along with some stationery as well. So one of the things I just forgot as well is we need dice, and I have a pile of dice here, mainly D6s, but if necessary we've got like some D4s, D8s, D12s, and just tokens in general. So yeah, a pile of dice. One of the things that I struggled with, and I will be open about this because it is something that I think some people do, I've seen echoed comments elsewhere, is the idea of, well, like, how do you play this game? What system do you use? What mechanics do you use? And I think it would be naive to say that you should just take a conventional tabletop RPG rule set and play with it, like D&D 5th edition, for example. It would be completely unfair to take D&D 5th edition and be like, yeah, just solo RPG it. I don't think that kind of misses the point somewhat, and that's the first hurdle that I had to overcome. One thing that I was looking around for is, well, let's try and find some interesting tabletop systems that can be used for solo RPGs that are light, that aren't too like heavy when it comes to kind of mental like brain power, because it's supposed to be light and fun, right? It's just me on my own. I don't have other brains or people to bounce off of. But I found there was just so much stuff. There's so many systems. There's so many books. There's so many like like little magazines, publications, recommendations, and I was kind of a little bit overwhelmed with all the stuff out there and all the stuff people were doing. So I'm going to do one better, and I'm going to use none of that and instead make my own, in a way, using my knowledge of RPG systems, my knowledge from what I've watched of solo RPGs, and keep it light, simple, breezy, and make it up as we go along. That's probably the best title I can imagine for all of this together. Is we're going to make it up as we go along, and I'd like to invite you along with me. For anyone who is brand new to this sort of thing as well, please, I hope you take something away from it. And for those of you that are heavily experienced, I expect an inordinate amount of constructive criticism on things I haven't considered or things I need to consider. So, yeah, this is one guy's hobby bimbling through it, and I hope you enjoy. So to start things off, I said earlier that we're using sheets here that are themed heavily on fantasy. So, generic medieval fantasy setting. I'm going to turn that on its head. I love sci-fi. I absolutely adore sci-fi. I'm on a sci-fi binge at the moment, and I think all of this can work perfectly well for a science fiction game, and all we need to do is reskin it. With zero effort, absolutely zero effort, we can reskin stuff as we encounter it. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to rewrite all of this right now, because that defeats the purpose. What my intent is, every single time we approach a new table, we will then make minor adjustments to make it fit. Secondly, there's actually a lot of stuff that can work already. But again, we're going to deal with stuff as we come to it. Big kind of reminder, really. So, let's open the notebook. Let's get ourselves a pen to make ourselves accountable. And let's figure out exactly what we're doing. So, first things first. What kind of setting do I want? I want we're going to be doing, obviously, solo RPG, and I want to do science fiction. Now, I mentioned earlier about tabletop rules. I am a huge fan of the system Traveller, and Traveller works on a super simple mechanic or a super simple premise in that it does 2d6 plus a modifier. In the same way that if anyone has any experience with Dungeons & Dragons, you would probably be aware that the game works on a d20 plus a modifier. Well, Traveller is just 2d6 plus a modifier. There are a lot of free versions and publications of Traveller out there that exist. It has a very colourful history with different publishers, and it's a spider web of editions and versions and variations. But of course, if I wanted to use that, we're still dealing with like a 50-60 page book because it's a proper tabletop RPG rules, a proper rule set. So, we're going to be making it up as we go, using the principle of 2d6 plus a modifier. Now, Science Fiction Traveller. So we're going to be using 2d6 as our kind of core dice rules, and also 1d6 in general, but that's going to be the limit. And then we need to kind of think about characters. So what are our characters, and who are they going to be? So initially I was thinking about classes. Now I'm aware that obviously in a classic fantasy world, you have the fighter, the wizard, the rogue, the cleric, the paladin, and the like. But instead, what I wanted to do was list 6 different science fiction, near-future, spacefaring kind of jobs, and use them as inspiration for our characters. So to start things off, we're going to go with, let's go with Navy. Let's go with, so Navy, Merchant, I feel. Number 3 can be Nobleman. I'm just trying to think of roles in general. Navy, Merchant, Nobleman, Scientist. I think that could be fun. Pirate. Yeah, Colonist. Okay, so our 6 kind of character tropes that we're going to use for our kind of character inspiration. I've got Navy, well, / military, I'll put. I think that's can be vague enough. Merchant, Nobleman, Scientist, Pirate, Colonist. So that's going to be, when it comes to classes or character inspiration, this is how that's going to work. Stats in Traveller work on sort of physical and mental, strength, dexterity, endurance, that kind of thing. Yeah, let's have some complexity of the characters. So we'll do strength, dex, endurance. Now Traveller uses education, intelligence, and then social standing. And then I think what we'll do for these is the modifier will do I want to keep this nice and light, so the modifier will be, we'll roll 1d3. Actually, here's an idea. So for our stats, we will again roll 1d6. We'll make it a bit of a curve, because we can have a negative modifier, so I think it's only fair that we capitalize on that. So let's do -2, -1, 0, 0, and then +1 and +2. There we go. So we'll use our 6 stats, and then we'll use this when it comes to generating. We'll use these as our modifiers to determine what we have there. And then for skills, now Traveller, like any RPG, is going to have, it has a massive skill list, and I'm not interested in statting out 60 skills. It's not worth it. That's not the purpose here. So skills are going to be more related to depending on which profession we roll. We will then pick a number of keywords, let's say, that will give that character a bonus in a situation. So I think we'll call them specialities, and we'll give each character number of specialities equal to 1d3. So we'll roll this. So a 1 or 2 is 1 speciality, a 3 or 4 is 2 specialities, 5 or 6 would be 3 specialities, and that can be their specialities that we can give them as like an extra dice roll or an extra modifier when they interact with the world. And then last but by no means least, we can obviously look at things like equipment. Now, I'm going to assume, I think it's fair to assume that all of our characters will have basic traveling stuff. So, I mean, they're going to have boots, a rain jacket, a decent hat, you know, kind of wallet with money, whatever. They're going to have basic stuff. So this dice roll will make it, we'll make it 1d3 again. 1d3 of very specific bits of equipment, and this will give them benefits to situations. And I think this kind of, it helps us. I don't want to micromanage how many candles I've got, how many batteries I've got for a torch, that kind of thing. I might do that in the future, but for now, just keep it light and loose. Yeah, so another thing what we're going to do as well is for combat, we obviously want hit points, and Traveller does have a very specific way of doing hit points for combat. I'm not going to copy that because it's a little bit involved. Instead, what we will do is we will give every character. I want to keep it to 1d6 hit points. Oh, we'll do 1d6 plus endurance modifier. That could be fun. So hit points is. Do I want to do that or 2d6 plus endurance modifier? Let's see how it goes. Let's do 1d6 plus endurance modifier. 1d6 plus endurance modifier. That could be fun. And then we'll see how the adventure goes. And I'll be honest with you, if I make loads of mistakes, we can obviously mix it up and learn from this. But again, I want to reiterate the fact, this is my first time doing this. I've watched a few YouTube videos. I know the gist. And we're going to see how it goes. Okay, after some thought, we're now going to start making some characters. With professions, I'm going to roll twice for each character. The reason being is that in Traveller, it's all about kind of, you play characters that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s. And so these are people who have had maybe, you know, a couple, like 1 or 2 different jobs and careers. So I'll roll twice. So, you know, you could have a pirate turned merchant or merchant turned pirate. And so we'll use that. I think that might give a little bit more fun, I think, with character background. And secondly, I was thinking a bit about combat, equipment and the like, and weapons. And we're going to make hit points 2d6 instead. Because I'm going to keep it, if I'm going to keep everything to a d6 kind of system, which is what I'd like, I'd love to keep it to a d6 system, then 1d6 hit points might be a bit unfair. Or rather, it'll be a very quick game. But let's keep it 2d6, you know, and let's roll with that. So, let's go with character generation. I have decided that we're going to have 4 characters in our party. I think that might be a nice, fun little number. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to do 4 different character sheets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this will be our character spread, and we'll refer back to this as necessary. Okay, so first character. We'll figure out as well spaceship, because I want this to be a sci-fi setting, but we'll figure that out afterwards. So, first character, top left. number 1. Let's roll. So we're going to roll twice on profession, see what we get. A 3 and a 2. So we have merchant nobleman. Modifiers, strength, dex, and sock. Specialities. A merchant nobleman. Merchant nobleman with a low social rating. So I'm wondering if they have fallen from grace a little bit. So I think merchant nobleman. Let's go with... I think merchant haggling, definitely. I think anything trade related, this person might be pretty good, or, you know, tries their best at wheeling a deal. And then speciality number 2, let's go... Well, in fact, this haggling was related to the merchant class, which I think is great. And number 2, let's go with nobleman. So speciality number 2, let's go with... Oh, carousing. So kind of the ability to be social, drink, kind of... it's kind of being like at a party, sort of being social, being like very charismatic. Like... That's kind of how I've always interpreted this. So we've got a very, whilst of course their social standing is a little bit low, they've probably got the gift of the gab. That might be the best way to put it. Cool, wonderful. Next things up, we've got equipment and hit points. So let's do, where do I want to put this? Let's put this here. Equipment, D3 again. So that's 1, only 1 piece of specialty equipment. I'm thinking, again, I want to link back to the merchant nobleman angle. Oh, maybe dex? They've got dexterities, maybe quite good at shooting. So decent equipment. Let's give them... Yeah, let's give them a pistol. I think maybe they're... Yeah, maybe this merchant nobleman isn't... This is why probably their social standing is quite low, is because they've got the gift of the gab. I feel like they're a bit of maybe a scam artist. That's the vibe I'm getting. Like, they know how to talk to people really well, and they can kind of bully people with their haggling. I don't know if you've ever encountered like those street vendors that are incredibly intimidating, and they kind of pressure you a lot, and they kind of, you know, play on your politeness. This is the kind of person I'm thinking here. So equipment, yeah, let's give him a weapon. He's had to look after himself a little bit. So let's go with, we're going sci-fi, so let's go all out laser pistol. Why not? Or specialist equipment, sorry. And then hit points, 2d6 plus his endurance modifier. 4 plus 1 out of 2d6, 5. Excellent. So I don't want to put that. Let's put that up here. So HP, we will go 5. Wow, mistakes already. Cool. So that is our kind of immediate character sheet. I'm going to buzz through the next 3, and then I will summarize everything when this is done. Okay, and we're back, and it's been some exciting dice rolling that's left my head, scratching my head quite a few times, but we've come up with some really interesting characters and kept everything as true to the dice. So to start things off, you may remember, you know, we had our merchant nobleman who had quite low social standing. Now, SOC here, for those who are unfamiliar with Traveller, social standing is not charisma. Social standing is your understanding of class, protocol, kind of being polite, knowing what to say at the right time, social awkwardness, that kind of thing. So your ability to talk to people could be exactly the same, but Traveller is very there's like a bit of a class divide, which makes a lot of the Traveller setting, and so social standing is like a key part of it. So with the merchant nobleman social standing being quite low, I thought, well, maybe, you know, he's fallen from grace quite a bit, or is noble by name only and has maybe been ostracized by the family, or I'm thinking is like a, you know, the distant third cousin of a noble family, and so kind of like has nobody really, you know, nobody really wants anything to do with him, but technically by name he's the 15th or like, the 15th in line to the throne or something. I don't know. So proper distant, absolute reprobate, but has used this name perhaps for some underhanded tactics, hence the haggling, and a bit of a pistol as well. Our second character ended up rolling as a pirate colonist. I thought that was quite a nice vibe. Stats perfectly fine, +1 to social standing, so a little bit more put together. Nice bit of intelligence. So intelligence and education. Intelligence is your ability to think on the spot, whereas your education is book learning. So kind of like street knowledge and book knowledge might be a really simplified way to look at it. So I thought, well, with a bit of street knowledge, not much book knowledge, pirate colonist, mechanic fits really well. Working on either a lot of systems, or maybe they were on like a pirate ship as well, and or like move between the two. It's open to interpretation here, but I like keeping things a little bit vague. So we took speciality as mechanic, and then for equipment, I went for pirate. Obviously, I went for another weapon, and for second equipment that I rolled for, I took a toolbox because I thought, yeah, mechanic, let's run that down there. Should be fine. Character number 3, our scientist merchant. Yeah, scientist and merchant was rolled. Stats weren't great, really bad dexterity, really bad social standing, so this certainly is somebody that is not very well put together at all. But they are educated, so perhaps like a bit socially awkward, the kind of socially awkward scientist that went quite far in their career. Now, scientist merchant are two very vague titles. I'm thinking maybe they were an academic that then left academia and went into kind of simple merchant hauling, or they worked as a data analyst for a merchant company, which is probably the route I might go down, actually. Yeah, let's go with like they were an analyst of some kind, or like a number cruncher, computer scientist, that kind of thing, for a trading company, trading network, whatever you want to call it. So, worked in the office behind the scenes. And so I rolled 3 specialities for this person, and I decided to go for computers. Seemed nice and easy. Engineering thought could be quite a fun one as well, and navigation, because I thought if you're doing data analysis and kind of data crunching for a merchant company, you might have a loose understanding of a lot of different systems in the company. For equipment, I thought, well, I got rolled 2 options, so I thought, yeah, stun baton, why not? This obviously isn't somebody who probably would fire a firearm, but maybe keeps like a taser or something sort of on their person, because the universe is a dangerous place. And I took for my second option a data pad, like a portable laptop data pad kind of thing. I thought that might be quite fun, and yeah, it might open up some possibilities. Fourth and final character, I rolled Navy and Scientist. So immediately we're thinking military R&D, we're thinking short stint in the Navy and then going into Scientist, maybe academic first, and then having, achieved, maybe got asked to then work in the Navy, that kind of thing. So we're definitely dealing with a little bit like the scientist merchant, somebody who, they weren't a lab scientist, they were more of a data scientist, or kind of working kind of themed with something else. Stats incredible. This person rolled absolutely insane. They're definitely youthful at the height of their career, high strength, high endurance, educated, really good street smarts, and obviously is pretty well put together. This is the kind of blonde-haired, blue-eyed, intelligent protagonist, I feel, of our party. And so for specialities, I ended up rolling 3 things, and I was a bit stumped here. I didn't know what to put. I thought Navy, we put combat. I thought this is definitely someone with military training, so they would definitely be a cut above everyone else in that regard. I thought computers, likewise, like data scientist of some capacity. And I was really stumped on this third one for a while, and I kind of thought, well, if we're doing a space game, we're doing a future game, this person was in the Navy. Let's say that even in their short stint in the Navy, maybe before or after they were a scientist, they had to undergo pilot training. So this person knows how to pilot, or is an adept pilot at the very least. For equipment, I rolled 2 options, and I thought, right, well, this person is absolutely military, so let's say they've actually, instead of a little pistol or a taser, they've actually got a proper rifle on them. And then the second one, this threw me quite a lot. I didn't really know what on earth to put for the second piece of equipment. And then I was reminded of the tricorders from Star Trek. And so I thought a portable scanner might be a really cool piece of tech that we could use here. I also just realised I forgot to do the hit points for my character number 3, character number 4, and then we need to do names as well. So, my goodness, this is not going very well. So, our scientist merchant, our data analyst has 4 hit points, and then our blonde-haired, blue-eyed data science Navy guy, or Navy girl, is 9. Wow, this person is absolutely tanked. 9 plus 2, 11. Yeah, I feel we definitely know who the main character is. Cool. So, I obviously need to come up with some names, and then we are going to look at where we are and what kind of adventure we're going to be running. Okay, and we're back, and I realised that this is where we can finally pull in our printed off sheets that I mentioned at the start, because on one of the tables we have female names and male names. So one of the things to take away is that probably but worth explaining the setting that I want to do a little bit more. So if we go back to the start here where I've got my kind of fundamental page. Yeah, we're doing science fiction Traveller. Now, for those people who don't know Traveller, it is very much termed like retro-futurism. So for anyone who has watched the Alien film, then we're talking like dark, dingy, analog, the complete opposite of Star Trek. Star Trek is very shiny, very efficient, very colourful, like utopian society. Retrofuturism I've always interpreted as, yeah, so analog technology, like cassettes, not a lot of wireless communication, not a lot of automation. AI isn't really a thing. Computer power can potentially be quite limited, or the computers are quite large for the power that they put out. And everything is still very like man done in some capacity. So if anyone's also seen the Firefly series, Firefly is like a bit of an inspiration as well. So I'm kind of drawing an idea between the Alien films, or Alien 1 and Alien 2 at least, and again the Firefly TV series, and trying to make sure we don't tread into Star Trek territory. So that's the theme. So I'll write down here just to remind us: Alien 1 and 2. And then Firefly. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. Now we're going to go for, with that in mind, everyone is going to be a human. The main kind of the main races, you want to say, are all going to be human-centric. Obviously, aliens will exist, but aliens are not going to be friendly or like main characters in that regard. So on one of our sheets we have male names and female names. So let's quickly write down here. So on each character section, I want to put name, and then I'm going to put like name, and then I'll put brackets male or female afterwards. So what we'll do 1, 2, 3 is male, 4, 5, 6 is female for each character. So female, I'll put it up here. Character number 2 is male. Character number 3 is male. Character number 4 is female. Cool. Okay. So character number 1, female. So we can go to our sheet here, and I'll just bring it up to the camera so it's a bit easier to see. And you should be able to see we have female names, female names, female names here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a d3 for column 1, column 2, column 3, and then 1d6 for the name. So d3 first. 5 means the third column. And then names 3, we have Ristal. So we have Ristal. Next, so d3 and then d6. So that's 2 and 3. 2, 3 is Duncan. Duncan is our pirate colonist. What a guy. Next up, we have our scientist merchant, again, D2, D3. Sorry, D3 and D6. So that's 3 and 2 is Drint. Duncan and Drint. That's definitely not going to get confusing. And then, again, column number 1, Fiona. So our kind of prodigy. with the incredible academic history, the incredible just incredible person all around, is Fiona. Like, Fiona's going to be the next kind of major, like, CEO, entrepreneur kind of person. Phenomenal. So, Ristol, Duncan, Drint, Fiona. I could do surnames at some point, but we'll leave that for now. Okay, I believe our characters are now ready to go. So, what I'm going to do is we're going to... Yeah, you know what? Let's figure out what kind of adventure we want to do. So, if we're going down the Firefly, Alien 1 and 2 vibe, I don't want to do a massive game with countless planets, solar systems and that. I think that's something for the future, but for now, I'm already making this complex. I want to try and keep things simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my game in a solar system. That's going to be the idea. So a single solar system with a single sun, a couple of habitable planets, some colonies, a couple of gas giants, some distant planets, lots of moons, that kind of thing. And so in order to kind of generate that, and also kind of display it, we're going to use the hex grid here. And the hex grid is going to give us distances and time in how to get to places. Now, I want to kind of be fair and make this clear now. I'm going to draw a solar system map a little bit like a generic 2D map. I am not going to path or map orbital patterns of where planets will go. If this game takes years, then we'll just say that the planets are kind of loosely move around. So we're going to have a static map with static movement, and I hope you all can appreciate the lack of real-world physics that I'm going to employ on orbital paths and kind of how close things are. I hope you can at least forgive me for that. So I think first things first, what we need to do is we need to find the center of our hex grid to put the sun, I imagine. There are probably many ways to do this, and I'm not entirely sure what the best way is. Yeah, again, the whole point of this is we're making it up as we go along, and we're going to make mistakes, and I'm kind of hopefully inspiring one other person or giving somebody the confidence to bimble about and give it a go. So, I'm going to do this in pencil, because I don't feel confident enough to do it in pen just yet. The center hex, I believe, is this one here. I'm pretty certain. We'll say it's that one. So let's put the sun there, and nice little doodling the sun. So that is the center of our solar system. Now we do have rings going out, so we've got obviously hex rings all the way around, and I think this is where we'll start putting our planets in. So we have technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Oh yeah, but then 7. Okay, yes, we might put some planets out, and we can include moons as well. Yeah, we'll figure this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we also have, how many we got this way? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, yeah, we can fit probably, I think, 9 different planets dotted around in different locations here. Cool, this is going to be fun. Another thing we can do as well, because if we do orbital rings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but then we also have 7, 8, 9. So we've got 9 planets or orbits, 9 major points of interest in our solar system. Now within those planets, there will be other planets, there's other gas giants, there's all kind of stuff going on, but these rings that we're going to put in are going to be 9 different points, and then the hexes are going to determine because we'll be traveling, and that'll take time, and this will be a resource that we have to consider. So what's a good way to figure out? So obviously we have a circle here. We need to figure out which planet. I want to put a planet in every single ring, right? We kind of need to figure out like a scatter dice, I think, to determine which direction. So what we can do is we can use the first ring here as our compass. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as we go around. So if I just lightly annotate 1, 2, 3, 4, apologies for the shadow, but that's kind of the compass rows that we're going to be working on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll use this to kind of help us as the arcs get bigger. Cool. So for orbit 1, where is the planet going to be? In 1. So we're going to have a planet there. Okay, in orbit 2. So in orbit 2, things kind of spread out a little bit. So, okay. Orbit 2 is going to be in the 6 direction, which could be one of these 3. Is it directly that one? Yeah, let's do a D3. Let's do 1, 1, 6, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 in the middle there. Because there's a bit of a... It gets a little bit funny depending on like which hex, you know, the brackets of the hexes kind of spread about a bit. But it's there, so let's put another planet here. Nice and close. Next one, next ring is in 2. So up ring here. So 2 is kind of these 3, roughly. So we'll do a D3. 1. So 2 is kind of a planet there. There's a lot of planets this edge of the solar system. Next ring. Hey, here we go. So ring 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. And then we'll do again. Probably pretty central. Yeah, okay. So now we're going for orbit number 5. Which direction is it? 1 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So up here somewhere. So there, and then we'll do another D3 just to see how left or right of arc it is. And it's gonna be, let's put it right. As we're going further out, the bracket for these numbers is getting quite wider. So let's put it here. I think that could be quite fun. Get it like somewhat separate. So that's orbit 5. Now we need orbit 6. Whereabouts are you? Down here. Then we need, again, another dice to determine the bracket. Oh, whoops, let's roll this on the thing. 3, so it's going to be kind of around here somewhere. So that's orbit 6. And now we need orbit 7. Is that all of it? Aha! So we've nearly... Okay, so we've gone quite kind of vertical. Our vertical stretch is now kind of gone. We can't really fit anything directly up or down. So when we do our next couple of planets, we need to kind of think about the corners instead. So we'll worry about that now. So, planet number 7. Planet number 7 is in the 5 direction. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's this line here. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so it is somewhere kind of... 7. Yeah, so it's right on the edge here. So let's do another D6. 6, it's going to be kind of up here somewhere. So let's put you here. Put you right on the edge. Again, like, is this, am I keeping it fast and loose? Yes. Could I have properly mathed this out beforehand with all the grids numbered to make it? Yeah, I probably could have done. But, you know, we're still keeping, we're working with the intent of the placement of these planets. Right, and then number 8. Planet number 8 is also going to be in this direction, but I don't think we have a lot of room. So, like, this is the orbit 7, which goes down here. So orbit 8 is going to have to be, like, actually quite deep down here. Now we roll 5, so it's going to have to be up this end. So I think we'll do a D3, and we'll pick one of these 3 hexes here. So that's 2, so we'll put orbit 8 here. And yeah, let's keep going. Number 9 is in 3 direction. Ooh, so I think it's going to be the opposite corner. Down here somewhere. So if 8 is taken up with that, that means orbit 9... Yeah, orbit 9 is going to have to be like here or something. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for these 2 squares. 4, 5, 6, so let's go there. So that's orbit 9. And then orbit 10 is going to have to be in one of the corners. Well, let's... Again, use our D6 compass rose to figure out where we're going. 5. Orbit 10's down here. Nice. So right on the edge of the solar system, we have orbit 10 right in the corner. Oh no, is that 10? 8? 9? Okay. Yeah, you know what? We'll make it 10 planets. We'll put number 10 right in the corner. That's fine. I appreciate it might be the square over. Okay. So this is going to be our... our solar system map. We've got a couple of planets really close, 1, 2, 3, really kind of up here, and then it really starts to drift apart. So we've got 4 down here, 5 up here. Well, in fact, let's ignore the numbers. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 5 in the north. 4 and 6 are together. but then getting anywhere else is going to be really difficult. So as we kind of travel around, and there's a lot of empty space as well, a lot of empty space, which is what I'd expect. But what's going to be fun, what's going to be really fun, is I'm thinking that all we've done here is map the planets, or the major planets. What we haven't mapped are things like space stations, like deep space stations that might be in orbit. We might be looking at celestial phenomena. There might be an asteroid belt that kind of cuts through between two planets. There might be an asteroid belt. These hexes aren't the same size. This is an abstraction of space. So yeah, there might be an asteroid belt around here. So we can definitely fill up this map. But what's really important to consider is that I think as we journey and as we travel, the passage of time as we go from one place to another is going to really, really matter. So this is really, really cool. This is our map. I'm not entirely sure where to go from here, but I think this is a great start. We have 4 really interesting characters. We've got kind of pirates, noblemen, merchants, navy scientist, and we're going to start. I think we should start filling out what these 10 places are. Maybe not. Maybe let's pick one planet. I think. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll pick one planet, and we'll start there and build it from that. I'm going to call this to an end, I think, and kind of just chew on it, digest it, and then next episode we will pick our planet and we will map it out, figure out what we're doing. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope this has been interesting at the very least. All the best.